Hello, I'm Hunty, and welcome to another interview with another incredible furry musician. This time I'm chatting with Ashley Ninelives. They're about to release their third album under this project, called Chesire Days. We will get into what brought Ashley to make this album, but first we will talk about their background and their involvement in putting together DIY live music events in hotel rooms at furry conventions. Their reoccurring event called The Sex Room, No Sex Allowed. We did have some audio difficulties in this episode, so bear with us. I will work to prevent feedback and such like this in the future, but sorry in advance for that. I will check in halfway before we get into the meat of talking about the album itself, but for now, I hope you enjoy. Okay, cool. Ashley Ninelives, kitty cat heartthrob. How are you doing?
That's me. I am good. I am sweaty. It's very hot in this room, but I'm gonna power through it because I'm excited about this.
Yay!
It's gonna be a good interview.
Where are you at right now?
I am currently in my hometown of Auburn, Maine.
Oh.
In my crummy little apartment that I have turned into a makeshift studio. And by that, I mean I have a microphone on my desk.
Hey, that's...
And my laptop on my desk.
Yeah, that's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. Hell yeah. What's it like living in your hometown? Have you lived there like your whole life, or?
Yeah, so I was born like in Augusta, Maine, which is like maybe an hour and a half north of where I am now, and then we moved down here when I was 2. And I, aside from a few months in Seattle back in 2020, I've lived here my whole life, which I'm not the happiest about.
Okay.
I've been trying to escape here for quite a while now, just because there's nothing going on. But I don't know. It's been an interesting kind of refuge. Like after I go to like a con or like do a show or something, to come back to bumfuck nowhere and kind of reflect on stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. Especially like I can imagine like a small town Maine, vibe. I feel like is a good place to kind of come home to. I mean, there's always that kind of disdain for your hometown, I think, regardless of where you grow up, but that seems for me, as someone who grew up in the opposite side of the country, I guess it seems very delightful to be in a small town in Maine.
Yeah, it's definitely I don't know, it's definitely pretty out here. I can walk literally 2 minutes and like go over a bridge and see a very beautiful river. Like,
oh, yeah,
there's forests everywhere.
That's delightful.
And there's no airport as comforting as the one in Portland, Maine. Like, I've been in a couple different ones now, just through circumstance, and every one except for Maine is just like everyone's pissed and stressful, and then you go to Maine, they're just like, they're chill as fuck. And there's a moose that was once alive, taxidermy. That's the word. There's a taxidermied moose, and whenever I see that moose, I'm like, I'm home.
Oh,
and it's great, and it's relaxing.
Love that.
He was alive once, and now he's not.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you taxidermize things.
That's just what happens when you die. You just forever immortalized.
You get stuffed and put in an airport.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, well, that's nice. I appreciate that background. I'm gonna get more into that a little bit as we go along, but I think to get started with music stuff, I'd love to just hear kind of what you've been listening to lately.
Ooh, let me check my 2024 Spotify playlist.
Yes, please.
I have like kind of a diary playlist every year where if like a song resonates really strongly with me, I'll just tack it on and I'll go through it at the end of the year and reminisce about everything.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I've been into lately?
Well,
the fucking Kendrick diss tracks, those have kept my attention for months now, and I'm still trying to figure out why.
mm-hmm.
I think it's just like a kind of good and evil thing in terms of like artistic merit,
Yeah.
which I mean, I know it's all like dramatized because these are two superstars arguing, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I hearing somebody be like, fuck you, the community I'm in is what's important to me, and making good art and not money. That's like really resonated with me because it's been like a theme in my life for a very long time.
Yeah.
I've been around a lot of people that like are very much in it for the money and fame and stuff, and that's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That's a whole other story. I went to Berkeley College online for a semester and went to like an in-person thing for a few days, and I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine the culture can be very, you know, cutthroat, maybe the right word,
yeah, yeah.
and just very outside of the kind of genuine, drive to make meaningful art.
Yeah. And that has been one of the recurring beautiful themes about furry.
Yeah.
But I will get back to that. Let me go through a few other things I've been into lately.
Yeah, sure thing.
Fucking Brat, obviously.
Obviously, Brat Summer. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is Brat Summer. I don't know. How I'm feeling now is like one of the most important albums to me in terms of like songwriting and production, in terms of like working on Cheshire Days, I've come to realize. And I don't know, Brat's been kind of a really cool expansion on the sounds playing around in that record and also lyrically.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't at first I was a little bit like surprised by the lyrics of how like on the nose they were topic wise, and
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't too much metaphor. But I don't know, I've come to really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think the production on that album was also fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah. I think it. I think I had a very similar reaction, and people who I've shown Brat to, who are kind of outside of the sphere of Charlie's music, have a very similar reaction as well. I think it, as you kind of listen to it and kind of take in the lyrics and like the meaning of the whole album, I think it really lends itself to the like blunt, just kind of like, hey, I'm a girl, I'm gonna fucking write my thoughts down and write some fun songs. Like, I think it really echoes Charlie's attitude towards making music, especially with this album. And yeah, I agree. It's beautiful.
Yeah. In terms of other stuff, the I hope you've listened to it, but the new Goodnight Girl album that Ember put out at the beginning of this month, absolutely fucking incredible stuff. She showed me the original version of that album back in like early 2022, and I thought like there were some really good ideas on it, and I just really wanted to see it expanded upon.
Mm-hmm.
And just like over the past few years, like she's just been like honing it and perfecting it, and it's been kind of incredible to see come together.
Oh, that's awesome.
We've known each, yeah, we've known each other since like 2013, 14, and like it's just been so amazing to see her development as like an artist kind of alongside me.
Oh,
We both, yeah, we both like kind of got into making indie rock around the same time as well, and we both came from like kind of IDM electronic backgrounds. Her album that she released last year, "Talk to Me, Burnaby," under the alias Daryl D. That was being worked on around the same time as Eagle Creek, and they're kind of sister albums in that way. It's just she didn't end up finishing it until I prodded her about it, and I was like, "These songs are incredible. Why are they not released yet?" And she's like, "Oh, I just didn't think they were finished enough." And I was like, I shook her really hard. I was like, "You need to finish this shit. It's important. It's good."
Oh,
And she put it together and put it out last year.
yay!
Um, so I guess in a way, Wannabe is kind of the sister album to Cheshire Days in terms of our, creative output and the personal artist story and timeline, I guess.
I love
So
that.
anyone listening to this podcast, listen to that album as a primer for mine because it's good, it's great, and I'm on one of the songs
Hey,
because the album was going to be dog shit, and then I was on it, and now it's great. So there you go.
damn, you heard it here first. I love that. That's
My recommended songs for that album are Real Voice, obviously. Bare Minimum's an amazing pop song. I Don't Care Anymore, fucking Don't Enable Me, and the last track is fucking incredible. And to the record, she actually samples like one of my songs, like as the drum beat.
oh, cool.
It's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the insight on this kind of like sisterhood between Ashley and Ember. This is great.
Yeah. I would not remotely be the person I am today without her. Like her influence on me, just the way I think about things creatively and just carry myself, is like I don't know. I don't know anybody else in my life like that.
Oh.
And well, to the same extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's she's wonderful.
Seems like a very
Being able to like
long long time developed kind of friendship. So I'm sure it means a lot.
For sure. We actually saw each other in person for the first time in 4 years at A&E this year, and it was really emotional. I stayed at Will Scuttlefuzz's apartment in Boston with her for a few days before and a few weeks after the convention, and we just like worked on music and caught up, and it was really emotional.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
And being able to do it was, and being able to do a show with her, and put the whole sex room at Anthro New England together was amazing, and I would not. Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, that's so nice. It's cool to be to have experienced all those things, and then kind of like seeing or hearing the backstory, and in terms of like knowing that y'all had been friends for that long, hadn't seen each other, and then gotten to like make this beautiful hotel room furry music event happen in Boston earlier this year. That's just so cool, I think. And I mean, not everybody listening to this will know about the sex room and everything, so I'd love to kind of get into that if you'd like.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the sex room. Okay.
No sex allowed.
So no sex allowed. So okay. At Anthrocon last year, 2023, I roomed with a bunch of music people. Varg of Mammal Friend fame, Will of Scuttlefuzz fame, Kai of Doghead fame, and Gabe of Gabu is Lost. And I don't know, we just decorated the fuck out of our hotel room because I don't know, why not?
Yeah.
It was a good bonding experience. And we had this weird ass hotel room that had like exercise equipment in the room. It was very like weird tech bro that went to the gym once, got a bunch of money from his daddy and made a hotel vibes.
Wow.
But like, I don't know, we were like, what if we just threw like a concert together? Like it would just like invited people and just like did dumb shit. And we'd kind of talked about it a little bit before the actual con, but my friend they, which is the best name of all time, pronoun names are I've never heard anything like it. My friend, they brought a like piano amp for us, and we had some guitars and stuff. So we just did kind of like a spur of the moment hotel room show. We announced it on Twitter, and like 20-ish people showed up, and it was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Vark had this fucking wedding dress, and they did this really elaborate bit where they're like, "I'm getting married," and like they we came up with this bit where in between like songs they would like do these like really drawn out terrible knock knock jokes but just like the most exasperated version possible. So there's like your mom your mom is God, your mom is so fit. I think my favorite was probably your mom is so boring I forgot.
Oh shit! Damn.
But yeah, it was spontaneous and triumphant, and it just I don't know, it was magical. It felt really good, and I wanted to keep doing this. I wanted to keep fostering that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never really done live music before. I It's always been something I kind of wanted to do. I remember back in 20 that A&E 2020. I was hanging out with Will Toledo, Mortis Jackrabbit, the big bunny boy, or
Mm-hmm.
no, he's a dog,
Oh.
a large canine, Hamilton.
Oh.
And we were just talking about like me wanting to like get some sort of music career off the ground, and just like the best way to do that. And he was just telling me about, I don't know, how he met some people. He like put some ads out on Craigslist and ended up connecting with Andrew Katz and Ethan Ives and Seth Dalby.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just recommending if I wanted to kind of go down that same indie rock path, that maybe I don't know, move out to a big city, get some people together, start doing kind of local live shows, and like, I don't know, just like in houses and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of build from there. And that all sounded like really cool, but my ability as like a performer was not there yet. I was really bad at guitar, and I lacked a lot of just general confidence of being a musician or just being a person. So it seemed it was like, I'd love to do this, and then I was going to kind of force myself to, and I did for a while. We'll get there. But then COVID happened, and you couldn't really go out and meet people and do things and go to music shows and get inspired.
Right.
And so that kind of went out the window. But after FunaFest last year, a beautiful event that was put on by Kay of Spring Silver, in this like meadery, like MEAD, not like a meat, not like, it's not the place where you take animal skin off and then cut it up and then give it to people for food. It's where you put you put honey in a sack and you shake it and wait, and then it turns into alcohol. And that was the location we were in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a beautiful, beautiful show. It was, let's see, I have the poster right here. I keep all my furry music posters on my wall.
Oh.
Hold on, can I turn my camera on for a sec? I know the people listening won't be able to hear.
Oh, sure.
But
yeah.
Here, this was like my furry music poster wall.
That's so sweet.
I have a bunch of other shit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should take a picture of that and send it to me later.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, these were the performers at FunaFest. Unfortunately, Mammal Friend couldn't make it because they got sick kind of unexpectedly. But I had never felt that sense of community before. Like, a lot of people performing, like, we all stayed at like Kara from Superpowered Yax's flat, and with a bunch of other people, and I don't know, it was just a lot of partying, but a lot of wholesome, beautiful moments.
Yeah.
And after the show, I was like staying for I stayed overnight, and then a lot of us were still there, and I was like, fuck it, I want to do this. I deserve to be able to also be a part of this scene. Like, I don't know, I've been working hard, and also it's fun as shit, and my friends are here. So I was like, there was a Para's place it used to be a like illegal puppy mill, Like it was no more.
Oh, God.
There were no like illegal I know. So, but I was in the basement where like they used to have all the puppies, and I was like, "Yo, I'm doing a show in 1 hour. You all need to come down." And everyone was like really tired from the night before.
Oh.
They're like, "Really? Are we really doing this?" And I was like, No, I got to do it."
Oh.
So I crammed like everyone in this really small room in the basement, and I just like karaoke'd my more electronic shit for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I fell over, and it was great. But that felt really good, and I wanted to keep that going. So I guess that's what kind of drove me to want to perform live in the first place and get the sex room stuff together.
Yeah, I mean that seems like the perfect like inception story for the sex room. I mean, all of the shows have been in these, you know, more or less basic hotel rooms, and I think most people understand the size of the size that we're talking about there, and especially when it's a public event and at a furry convention where there's thousands of people, it can get pretty crowded in this little room pretty quickly. So
yeah,
I love that it started from something that very much mirrors that experience.
I've always loved like more intimate venues. Like I feel like when you have a lot of space, it kind of takes away from, there's like so much room for people to, you know, get in their own heads, and like, at least for me.
Yes.
Like if I'm at a show and I'm just like in the back, like nervous, oh, what are people thinking of my outfit? Like, oh, am I dancing stupidly? When you're all crammed in a room together and you're more worried about you dying, the music's a little romantical.
Oh yeah.
We're trying to mitigate that problem these days. And the A&E show in Boston this January was kind of an example of how that can go, not necessarily wrong, but go awry. As we had like 55 people packed in a double queen, and people were like, you know, unmasked, and it was, people definitely should have been masked. And it was scary. There was some guy trapped in the bathroom at one point. Like,
oh God!
Thank God we had Theo of Tropic Mess fame.
Yes,
a wonderful artist, an absolutely wonderful person. Yeah. My heart goes out. Manning the door, because like there was a line out the door, which I mean is in theory like cool. You want to have that, but when you're trying to do kind of a low-key event and not get shut down by the hotel, it's a little more concerning.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and we didn't even like publicly post the room number. It was just literally through word of mouth.
That was kind of what led to the like invite only sex room this year.
Yeah. We, for Anthrocon, we knew that like the artists that we had would have a pretty big draw. And I did not, I'm way more concerned about getting sick this time. Just for, I don't know, personal reasons. I've been sick a lot this year, and I would like to stop being as sick as I've been. So I've been pretty staunch with my own rules in terms of like masking and being careful with stuff. So it was that, and also just like I didn't want a huge like crowded scary situation like there was at A&E. So we did like a ticketing system, which was a little frustrating because I wanted to invite a lot more people than I ended up doing, and some feelings did get hurt in the process, unfortunately. But the venue is also a lot smaller than we thought it was going to be. Yeah. Somebody lent us their suite, and we found out like pretty last minute that we could only use like half of it just because there was a giant wall in the middle of the room, as you saw.
Right.
But all in all, I think it went pretty well, all things considered. Like, I don't think there were any huge issues. We had somebody named Mr. Puppy manning the door. I had never met Mr. Puppy, and I've never spoken to them again, but damn it, they did a good job.
Hell yeah.
And I only know them as Mr. Puppy.
Shout out Mr. Puppy. I remember him introducing him to us as just Mister, and I was like, yeah, okay. It's very, very anonymous.
Again with the pronoun prefix name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, as a experiencer of the most recent sex room, I thought the crowd being more contained felt very good. I think it was not as crowded, not as sweaty, and it was, I think what you were going for with intimacy, I think it was just it was the peak of sex room experiences. So
yeah,
I applaud.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, especially as somebody that I know you're a very seasoned music venue goer, tour, and performer at.
Yeah.
We have like no experience with this shit. Well, that's not true. I have no experience with this shit. Siege of Wolf Ears fame has worked at venues a lot,
Yeah.
and their advice and know-how and technical ability and like AV ability has been so important and so valued over the past two shows, the ones we did at A&E Frication Land and this time at Anthrocon. I cannot thank them enough for their know-how. It's so cool.
Yeah.
That's been also a cool thing about like doing these shows is people kind of come out of the woodworks to be able to help out. Like I have a friend, Violet, who like has a printer at home that like, and she was able to print our little penis pass pluses, the tickets we use for the sex room.
Yeah.
And we sold some posters. And then we had our friend Huck, who's Degosser is their I guess artist name. They did like the projections on screen behind us for the Anthrocon show.
Yeah.
And it's just been cool seeing like all these people I would have met before like come together to do this like crazy silly thing.
Yeah.
Like there's so much talent and so much casual, just like, yeah, I'm great at this stuff. Let me just help you out. And also you guys are amazing and I love you.
Yeah.
Like just from the most random of sources. It's great.
I love it. It's incredibly genuine. And I love that it's like,
yeah,
it's just this weird little hotel room, show musical experience. Very DIY, and the passion that people see, I think is exemplary of, a growing community in the broader furry community of people who are just very interested in, DIY music, and I think it's exciting. I think a lot of us feel the excitement in terms of where furry music is going, where we're at with it and everything. Yeah. So with that, I would love to hear like a little bit before we get into more of your music stuff, because I don't want to dwell on the broader furry music culture.
No, I'm the most important part of this interview, and don't you forget it.
Yes, exactly.
It's all about me.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I would love to hear kind of the future of the sex room or whatever might come after it.
All right. So I was gonna think of some elaborate bit, but I couldn't think of it, so let me just be honest. Well, this time around for Anthrocon, we were gonna try to get an actual venue, but logistically it kind of fell apart. And so hopefully maybe next year for Anthrocon specifically, since it's like one of the biggest furry cons, we're gonna try to do an actual venue. But as for the next couple of shows, we're talking with some people at
Redacted
and actually having a space in the convention to perform, which seems a little bit like against the whole original vibe of the concerts, where we're just doing ourselves in spite of the con BS.
Mm-hmm.
And we might still have to do that, seeing how this goes. But having an actual venue where everyone can come that wants to would be really incredible, and I think really important to help get these performers like names out, because God, their music's so fucking good.
Yeah.
More people need to be aware of it. And these people deserve shows bigger than just a solo instrument or performing over a backing track.
Right.
They deserve a full stage, a full band.
Yeah.
Like what fucking Kay's been able to do with Puna Fest, and what I guess Oral Alliance has been doing as well. But yeah, I want to see us grow, and I think we have enough. I hope we have enough like oomph behind us now. We're like, we've done this shit before. We're gonna have a great performance, and you're gonna give us the space. We'll probably work to schmooze people into letting us, have a spot at a con or something.
Yeah, I mean, y'all have done it several times over the last year at various cons. I feel like there's a lot of precedent, for letting cons give you space to run these things.
Yeah. And I mean, like, putting together like a festival or some sort of tour is also not out of the question, but we'll I'm not thinking that far ahead just yet. I've got a lot to worry about myself in terms of life stuff right now. So
Oh, sure.
we'll see where things go, but I want to keep pushing because these people deserve the best, and this community deserves to have this furry music community deserves to have something like more bigger and more magical than it has been so far. I want to see these people getting what they deserve for the hard work they've been doing in the communities.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's after the most recent sex room, I had this feeling of like, I think this really could be packaged into, even just half a day on one of the stages or one of the panel rooms or whatever at a con space.
Yeah.
Like, at the most recent event, it was like all the artists had like maybe 12 minutes of set time. Changeovers like pretty much happened immediately because you didn't have, instruments and stuff to change over. But even then, I think the more like showcase mentality of the sex room, I think works a lot in terms of something that happens at a con where there's so many people, and it's, you're going to have to disappoint people at some point, but it's nice to be able to have as many artists on at a show as possible with something like this.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, so
I also do want to shout out Arctic Audio, who've been putting on kind of a more showcasey events at venues that's mostly furry based. Like they're doing some really cool stuff as well.
Cool, hell yeah. I love that there's more stuff happening, because I feel like there can't just be one group of people making stuff happen.
Yeah.
Cool. Hell yeah. Very, very.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do also want to shout out. There was another show that happened the day after. It didn't really have a name, but the performers were Doghead. Hold on, let me pull these names up because I don't want to forget anyone.
Yeah, sure thing.
It was another hotel room show that Dill of the Fatherless and the Widow fame and Kai of Doghead fame put together. The room was like a lot bigger than the one we had, and like it was lit like all red. It was so cool. The atmosphere was wild.
Ooh.
And it was also it was similar in vibe to what we were doing in terms of like one or two performers like going at the same time and kind of low key setups. But I don't know. It was another just magical hour or two. They cultivated such an amazing vibe, and the performances were amazing. It was Doghead, Stick Crickets, Toton, who came in from fucking Japan, which is amazing.
Yeah.
He started his set by saying like, all right, all these songs are in Japanese, so you're probably not going to understand it. And also, all of these songs are sad and depressing. Thank you. And everyone just cheered. It was great.
Hell yeah.
It was so fun. Para of Superpowered Yaks did a really beautiful cover of his late stepfather's, one of his songs. And I've Made Too Much Pasta. Skuro did a couple songs as well. And then there was a noise jam at the end. That was really fun.
Oh, I love that.
So I just wanted to shout that out because it was also a really, really beautiful moment. And yeah.
Oh, yay. Love more and more DIY music happening at furry cons. I think regardless of what happens with, getting like proper venue space at conventions, it seems like these kind of like spur of the moment shows are going to keep happening because there's such a drive for it, Yeah.
There were a few really beautiful moments at. Sorry, this is the last thing I'll get to before we'll move on. But there's one person that I guess reached out to me like a few years ago, saying that she Eagle Creek was like the reason she started making music and like got a guitar. And which that's an indescribable feeling. But she managed to make it to the sex room, and then the next day she was playing with MIDI Bunny, and like she fucking killed it. It was crazy. But just like and I also had a couple people come up to me and saying that the A&E show that we did like fundamentally changed their life in terms of like music stuff. And also Will said, Will of Scuttlefuzz fame said, let me quote, these concerts are the best moments of my life before they started their set. And yeah. It's been a really incredible journey.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Do you have the name of the person that said you inspired them, or their like artist name?
Oh yeah. That's AJ. She makes music under AJ Vega, I believe. Let me double check that real quick, but I don't want to.
Hell yeah.
Yep, AJ Vega.
Hell yeah.
Check her shit out. It's like cool lo-fi indie like punk shit with some chiptune influence. It's so fun.
Hell yeah. That's sick. Oh, okay. Let's get into Ashley.
God, that's what they say. That's what. Anyway.
I would love to just get a brief like background in terms of where you got started with music. I know you talked about having an indie rock background.
Funny thing about that. So okay, I got my start. I mean, I was around music growing up. Obviously, my dad's like an audiophile. He's always been refining his sound system and like playing shit. He's into a ton of stuff like classical. But when I was like really young, he played a lot of like 60s like psych pop, fucking the Beatles a lot. And that was kind of my basis for musical roots. But in terms of making my own shit, I started in 2009. I was super into like Dance Dance Revolution and Stepmania, and which is the version of DDR you play with your computer keyboard, where you press the up button, the left button, the down button, and the right button, because they're corresponding. The arrows go up the screen, and then when they hit the thing at the top, you got to press it at the same time. And that's how you played. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. I know. Okay, this bit's over. But they were having a contest on stepmania.com where you could like upload your own like step file for like a song, and the winner got $200.
Oh shit.
And I was like, I'm 11, I want $200, but I don't know how to make a step file, and also I am too nervous to ask any of these like music people. Usually like got like their songs from like Newgrounds artists and like did little step files for them. But I was too nervous to ask, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make my own song. So I installed Linux Multimedia Studio because it was the only free digital audio workspace I could find.
Whoa.
And I made some shitty song, and I made a shitty album, and then that's I guess where I got started. So when you're starting out using a digital audio workspace such as that, I switched over to FL Studio like 1 year in. What do? You make sounds with the synthesizers that come pre-packaged with the program. So I ended up like making a bunch of weird IDM shit. I guess that's kind of like the stuff I had been listening to when I was younger. I found most of my like music taste that I was finding on my own that wasn't like what my parents were playing I found just like through Dance Dance Revolution or Statmania, which was like a lot of breakbeat hardcore, a lot of like IDM, a lot of just weird, crazy, glitchy stuff. So that's kind of where my my heart that's how I got started. Like that's how I hold up. That's kind of what nourished my original like sounds.
Yeah,
like
your
those are
passion
the yeah. But those sounds did always stick with me. Like those, I don't know, just super fast hardcore, weird sampling, just really lush instrumentals with all these like weird synthesizers. That was always like what I kind of uh started out with. And then I heard Renard's what is it called? Rainbow Dash Renard. Let's see. Rainbow Dash Likes Girls EP when I was 13. Because one of my Stepmania artists did a remix of one of the songs on it. And I discovered Renard, and that opened my mind to sampling. And then I was like, shit, I got to do this now because Renard's cool. That's also how I found the furry fandom, because there's a really hard shark lady on one of the EP covers. I was like, this did something to me. I am invested now. Hello. Let me go through Renard's discography. Rate your music, not Ryan Renard from Renard Insurance. Hold on, Renard's songs discography. So like I listened to Trauma by Renard a lot. I listened to fucking A Picture of Finn Farting was like really emotionally important to me, despite the name. Fucking the Because Maybe compilation, and then there for more serious stuff like the Queenstons Figurehead LP. And so that got me again more into like the breakcore, breakbeat stuff, and also just tons and tons of sampling.
Yeah.
Like an illegal amount of sampling. Like I should go to prison sampling. And then in 2013, I was scrolling through the breakcore tag on Bandcamp, and I found an album called I Created Pisscore by Piss Spheres. No, Piss Spears. And that was just like everything mashcore like pushed to the maximum. It was just a bunch of dumb like fucking Skrillex and Death Grips memes infused in it.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, shit, this is loud as fuck. I love this. I want to do this. I have the technical ability to make a bad version of this. So I started making shit under the alias $44,000 and putting it on SoundCloud. And so for a brief period of time, I was like in the sound clown scene where we were just, I don't know, doing dumb loud shit and making minute long like mashups and things that'd make you laugh for like 30 seconds and uploading them to SoundCloud.
That's incredible.
And I ended up putting a few albums together. Yeah. I ended up putting a few albums together that did actually relatively well on Bandcamp. Like I was the top at of the breakcore tag for a few days at the age of 16, and I was like, boom, look at that, motherfuckers. My parents didn't really understand. It was cool. It was like, oh, people are actually fucking with what I'm doing. Okay. There was actually, I had one song called Pisscord, which was a remix of Discord by the Living Tombstone.
Oh my god.
And that got like 1 million plays, and then Living Tombstone like played it live at like a big concert.
Whoa, no way. That's crazy.
Yeah. This I have a story about him that I want to keep off the record.
Oh, spicy.
But I'll tell you that at a different date.
Okay.
But through that scene, I was able to meet a lot of my friends. That's where I met Ember.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where I met Empor of Deep Repus fame, who I'll get back to him. He was the first in a series of 3 twinks that I've dated in my lifetime. He was twink number 1, the OG, and he's great. You should listen to his stuff at some point. Let me pull up his album names He was actually making. He was the first person I knew in person that was making indie rock, like back in 2014.
Oh, okay.
And specifications, colors, and contents may vary from illustrations was his debut, and then he released Cicada Cicatrice a couple of years later, and those are both fucking amazing albums.
Mm-hmm.
I dragged him to his first furry convention this year to perform at the Sex Room at Furcation Land back in April.
Oh shit!
And yeah, he's not really super active in the fandom, like he can't, but so this is like a big first for him.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing him play those songs that I'd been listening to like when I was a teenager live was really fucking emotional for me.
Aww.
It was a really, really beautiful performance.
That's awesome. These friends you met, like what was the kind of centerpiece around like I guess like finding and communicating with these people? Was it through SoundCloud, or was there kind of something else that was?
It was through SoundCloud, but more specifically, it was through Macklemore. Without Macklemore, there would be none of us, because we made a bunch of Macklemore mashups and memes, and Macklemore brought us all together.
Yeah.
Like when he was in the third grade, he thought that he was gay because he could draw, and his uncle was. No, his uncle was. I don't know. But unironic, like we just dumb shit like that. Like we had like a Skype server was turned to a Discord server of like people making that, and then we all ended up being like queer furries, because when you hear enough MC Ride, you turn gay.
Yeah, it's true.
And yeah, but yeah, just I don't know, doing fun stuff together, making each other crack up was always kind of like something that brought us together. And like we were all like kind of serious artists underneath all of that, which we've all kind of discovered ourselves kind of. It's been weird because it's like when my $44,000 stuff blew up, I was like, shit, okay, I have a following now. Now I want to like try to put my effort into more serious music. And that's where my two albums under 44K came from, Nichols and Norepinephrine. Nichols was more me leaning back into IDM stuff with more of a sample-based approach to it. Like I still had like original melodies and stuff, but I was sampling the fuck out of everything. And I don't know, I kind of wanted to be like, hey, I can do this jokey meme stuff, but I want to like be recognized as somewhat of a serious artist here. And then after I put that out, that actually, shout out to my high school, because we had these like things called Flex Friday projects where they just let us like do our own thing for like a full year every Friday. And so I just spent a bunch of time in my high school just like fucking tinkering in FL Studio with shit.
That's incredible.
Which I am so thankful they let me do. Yeah, it was amazing. I was like the first graduating class of like this charter school. It was that's a different discussion, but that did fundamentally kind of shape a lot of my the way I
yeah, I mean,
put stuff together,
cultivating
like,
creativity in education. It's unheard of in this country.
Dead ass. I got so lucky. That school is like fucked now. Like it's super like back to normal school rules, but like but when I was there for the first like few years, like starting out, like I don't know, it was kind of no man's land. Like we were all just like doing our own thing. It was great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
I would not have graduated otherwise. But anyhow, those two albums were my year-long projects, and I just kind of dove fully back into IDM. And then they didn't really do as well like on Bandcamp as my other stuff, but I think they were kind of important. But what I was kind of losing in that was a sense of community. Like with the $44,000 stuff, like we had all this like jokey, this audience of sound clowners who was like laughing alongside us. And when I was just kind of putting the joke stuff away and focusing on making like, I don't know, more ambient IDM stuff, not as many people fucked with it, because there wasn't really a connecting thread to any sort of community. It was just like some rando doing shit.
Mhm.
And that sense of community kind of being lost. It kind of, I didn't really realize what was happening at the time, but like looking back on it, that's kind of why, I don't know, I lost interest in making that stuff for a while.
Mhm.
And then I heard Twin Fantasy by Car Seat Headrest in 2016, and unfortunately that shifted my life for a while.
As it does for many of us.
So I know, God, Will Scuttlefuzz and I were talking a while ago, and we came to the conclusion that that album is the fucking Velvet Underground and Nico for furries.
Yeah.
Like, everyone that heard that album, like, in, I guess the new version too, but the original's better, like, started making their own version of it. And yeah, I don't know, that album, God, is so important for so many reasons. But what I took from it was there, I don't know, furry is a, like, I was like sort of semi in the fandom for a while, and then um I there was this one day when I was in community college, which was a nightmare, where I was like, fuck it. I need a community. I'm gonna gamble on this community. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I need something because
Mhm.
I have no friends here. I have no community. I need something.
Yeah.
And um uh, the fucking Willie T being a furry was also like really important because it was like the narratives on that album like are so intrinsically related to both being a furry and being queer, like
Right.
an online queer weirdo,
Right.
like
Mhm.
falling in love.
Mhm.
Like nothing had ever really spoken to me like that before. And I was like, shit, I'm not alone here. Like there's a community out there, there's love out there.
Mhm.
And also I really liked the noisy sound of it. Like I'd never really been into, you know, like lo-fi rock before. Like that was my first experience. I just kind of listened to Twin Fantasy on a whim because my friend recommended it.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, oh, noise pop. You can use like lo-fi-ness and noise to your advantage as like a sonic palette. I never understood that you could do that. This is cool as fuck.
Mhm.
Um, and looking back, I did lean on loud music, especially in like my breakcore years. But this is just like a different approach with it, and it was an approach where I felt like I could actually have something to say through my music. Like I wasn't just like making mashups of other people talking. I could like, you know, form my own narratives and tell kind of my own stories,
Yeah.
which is very new to me.
Yeah. Finding your voice with it.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so I picked up a ukulele because I didn't have the money for a guitar. And like in my college dorm, I just like spent some time writing just dumb shit. Like whatever was popping into my head, just experimenting with recording in FL Studio, adding a bunch of like shoegaze sounding effects to my guitar, my ukulele.
Mhm.
Um, and I never like no full songs ever came out of those sessions, but I don't know. I was like, shit, maybe I can go somewhere with this. Maybe I can make music that, you know, could maybe be important to somebody someday.
Mhm.
And so I dropped out of college because I'm bad at college. I'm like the least academic person possible. Whenever I have to do like an assignment, my brain just goes blank. I may have ADHD. Well, I'm not diagnosed, but there's something wrong with me.
Mhm.
um, and then I went to Berkeley online for a while, as I mentioned earlier.
Right.
But again, I couldn't keep up with the workload and like having that on top of a job, on top of a bunch of like emerging mental health shit. Like it was just too much.
Mhm.
Um, so I dropped out again. And I just kind of I was working and just like in my free time I was working on music. Um, so I put together this like dumb little album of like, you know, lo-fi indie songs with me distorting the fuck out of my ukulele. Called I think it was just called A Nervous Cat. It's been deleted from the internet. I don't know if I want to put it back up right now because it's a little too personal.
Mhm.
But it was just me fucking around with sonic palettes and like songwriting for the first time, and it was very like on the nose writing. Like I wasn't like making any big metaphorical statements or anything. I was just like saying what was going through my mind, saying what was happening to me.
Yeah.
My horrible luck with weirdos on furry dating sites. Why was I using furry? What did I think was going to come out of that? What love did I think I was going to find through fucking furry mate?
Oh God. I mean, I think we have all been there at some point.
Yeah. So I put that album out to a little fanfare, just like for me and my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I was getting really into the Car Seat Headrest like fan community at the time when I was like 19, and it's not as insane as it is now. I stopped paying attention. But like through that, I met one of like Will's friends, who's kind of old, not a creative mentor exactly, but just like somebody that had kind of like helped guide him through like his early releases and stuff. Just like giving advice. Super creative, amazing person. I don't know if he wants his name publicly out there.
Sure.
But there was this one night I was at work, and I just sent him a message like out of the blue, like, "Hey, I don't really know who else to reach out to about this, but like I am a furry. I am making music. I want to be able to like start something. I want to make something of myself. This like, cause what else do I have? Like, I don't know. I was just working at kind of like I worked at a group home for a couple gentlemen with developmental disabilities for a while, which was really rewarding work, and I would not trade that experience for the world. There were so many amazing people and experiences, but like, God, that's not really where my interests lied, and it was really draining and scary to be able to have to take care of adults at the age of 19.
Yeah, can imagine that's a lot.
So I don't know. I was looking for I don't know. I was just looking for a way out because like I don't know. I don't have any academic ability. I I need something, man, because like I live in bumfuck me, and I got no community up here. I have like no friends up here. So I just kind of like put a shot in the dark, like, hey, this is what I got. I don't know. What do I do? And I wasn't expecting any sort of response because I'm sure this guy's like super busy, but he gave me this super detailed, long response of just like, okay, well, if you want to go about doing this, if you're serious about it, here are some steps that you need to take. And God damn it, I tried to follow through as many as I could.
Yeah.
Like some of them were just like, moving to a city, like trying out some like relationship stuff. Just basically getting experiences, trying to put shows together,
right?
Maybe get a band or something, but focusing on putting albums together and putting up like as much material together as possible, so you'd have like kind of a base of stuff to work from. And so I was like, all right. I showed him like the demo for a recompiler off my debut Ashley Ninelives album, and he was like, "This is really good stuff. Like, just you already know what you're doing. Just fucking focus and do it." So that's where my debut as Ashley Ninelives came from.
Okay. Yeah.
And that album, have you heard it?
I might have skimmed through it at some point, but it's not as
fake fan. Boo! I'm ending this interview. You're suck, hunty.
Damn.
No.
Damn.
No. That album I made in about like 4 months. I mean, I had some demos from a little earlier, but like, I was just like, okay, I gotta put as much music out as possible. Like, my big influences at that time musically were like, Jeff Rosenstock, obviously, but like mostly Car Seat, and just like especially the early stuff because I love that noise pop crunchy sound. But also I love the fact that he just like put out a shit ton of stuff. And it was like very personal, very experimental and creative. And I was like, shit, I want to do that. I want to have a bazillion albums.
Yeah.
So I did that. I put out 9 lives, and then I went to my first furry convention with Ember, actually, and a couple other friends who are lesbians that got married this summer.
Hey.
And they're not furries, they're just lesbians.
I love that stuff.
I know they're great. Shout out Gracie and Risk, some of my favorite people. We got into a car accident. It was great, and that's where I saw the FBM.
The what? The what?
So the FBM. So here's where the story gets a little more story related, because Nine Lives was mostly like just me talking about my experiences being isolated.
Oh, okay.
And like being a horny, and with Eagle Creek, I was like, shit, I want to do an album that's like continuing my like diary entry style of doing stuff. So that was the first time Ember and I put out Nine Lives, and then Ember came and we went to a now defunct con, Pine for Con, which was in Portland, Maine, back in 2018 and 2019. And that was a life-changing experience for both of us, because we'd never been to any IRL furry events before. And granted, it was like the tiniest con ever. Right. Like I think there were like maybe 300, 400 people at it.
Oh, wow.
But just like seeing the kind of craziness happen, like it fundamentally shifted our worldview. Like that was a wild couple of days. But the main thing that happened there was, how 18 plus can we get over here?
Oh, go. I mean, go for it. Whatever. If it's too bad, I'll take it out.
It's not that. Okay. So we were. This actually is relatively tame.
Okay.
We were at one of the furry raves, as you do.
Right.
And we saw a fursuiter being ground upon by another suitor, and as tends to happen when you apply stimulation to the genital area, there was some arousal. There was a visible erection. And Ember and I both looked at each other and we were like, this has to be a song. We can't not make this a song. So we like ran up to the hotel room, and she like recalled this like demo I made like back in 2017. And she's like, you should like finish this up and then like make it into a song about this. And I was like, shit, we got to do it. So that's where the FBM, the fursuit boner man, came from. And like that kind of spearheaded Eagle Creek, like, and yeah, that whole album was like me trying to spontaneously like, make songs as fast as I could, like based on experiences I was having at the time. There was this one I think 5-day period where my parents were on vacation and I was off from work. I was living with my family at the time, as every broke 20-year-old is. And like I put all my fucking music equipment in the kitchen, and I just like spent 5 days like binge drinking Red Bull, listening to like the Arrogant Sons of Bitches and Jeff Rosenstock and fucking what's that band that has the music? Who wrote Self-Esteem? The Offspring. That's where I was listening to. I was just like binge listening to that shit, and then just like putting out as many demos as I possibly could. And that's where like Wingman came from. That's where Non-Believers came from. That's where Now Accepting Applications came from. And that's where like the final version of the FBM came from. And I don't know, it was really empowering and really exciting and really fun. So yeah. Still at that point valiantly trying to appease the guy who had given me advice a year prior. I tried to put together an album as fast as possible. And I mean, I didn't really think too much about it when I was doing it. It was just like, I need to get this done for my own sake. Because I need to get myself out of the situation I'm in, and I feel like all these shitty experiences that I'm going through have to be for something, right? So, yeah, the first like 2/3 of the album are that, and then the last third was about a fateful trip I made down to Pittsburgh to meet a twink number 2. And so twink number 2 was not terribly present during that visit because of various reasons. It's whatever. I'm chill with twink number 2. I haven't talked with them in many a year, but I hope they're doing well. So I was mostly camped out in a motel, just like with my laptop and guitar. So I just like busted out like another third of the album. And that's what the last handful of songs are like about, like lyrically, but also sonically. Oh, wow. Yeah.
There's this really beautiful piece of art that is going to be for the back of the vinyl and CD of the reissue that my friend Jackie Bunny Mutt did of my persona like in a Greyhound. That's kind of paying homage to that whole experience. I'll send it to you. And everyone listening, you're gonna have to wait and purchase the physicals and give me cash before you can see this image. And believe me, it's a good image. You want to see this image? Ooh. Hold on, I'm gonna send it to Hunty here. And yeah, because I'm special. Yeah, you are. You're fantastic. It's called Ashley Bus Stop PNG. It's 15.47 megabytes. You want to see it so bad, but you're not going to be able to, like Hunty is right now.
Oh, okay. I love this.
Yeah. So.
It's so good.
I know.
You can't see it, but it's so good.
Yeah. There's like a naked man like spread out on a table, like his butthole is out. There's a bunch of like puzzle pieces surrounding him, and there's somebody shouting like slurs in another language in the background. Joe Biden.
Wow, there's a lot of interpretation to this.
Yeah. I didn't pay for this. This is just an image I found on my computer. So sorry.
Hey, just popping in for a brief intermission. This interview is part of my music zine project, simply called or Hunty's Music Zine. At the end of the year, I compile some writings about my favorite releases of the year, as well as some highlights from these interviews into a physical zine, which also gets released online at zine.com. That's H and 4M's zine.com. On the site, you can also subscribe to my email newsletter, or if Telegram is more your thing, you could subscribe to my channel there at t.me/huntysdudes. That's HUNTYSDOODS. Thanks, y'all. Back to the interview. I think this kind of led up to a lot of, I have listened to Chesire Days for, on and off for the last 6 months at least. And I've read through the lyrics. I feel like I've got a slice kind of what Chesire Days means, but it feels like I understand a lot more about how this album came to be, both sonically and lyrically, just based on the last what you've described in the last hour. It's like there's elements of, I feel like, everything you've talked about. There's this sort of IDM background, but with this kind of noise pop influence. And I know, like, one of the main things I noted, ever since my first listen through the album is like, this is like, I had this kind of glitch pop, is kind of what I initially kind of felt in terms of just describing the album in terms of genre or something. But the the tone, like both lyrically and sonically, feels like it kind of plays between like this somewhat like playful surrealism, especially with like your vocal effects and the kind of way it kind of whooshes, and there's a lot of playfulness there, but then there's like this kind of somber, like almost escapism with the lyrics and the way that a lot of the songs kind of feel. They have this very just kind of otherworldly kind of sound in the productions. I also wrote down this like almost trance-like in a lot of ways, and I think a lot of having understood where you come from, it makes a lot of sense why this album sounds like this. And I love that it's like an accumulation of everything that you've done musically so far, it seems. Is that kind of how you'd feel about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I first off, thank you. But yeah, I've said this before, but like this is kind of some aspects of this album are like I'm making this for my 13-year-old self. Like this is something that I would want to listen to when I was that age. I mean, especially like tracks like Brighter Day that are very like happy hardcore focused. But as for like the surrealness and kind of escapism, like you mentioned, I wrote a lot. I wrote this during like probably I don't know. Well, aside from like the last 3 tracks, like during the probably worst few years of my life. Like not to bring the mood down, but like I don't know. I had a lot of like pretty scary mental health shit happen to me. Kind of through like when lockdown happened, like I don't know, I screwed around with a lot of psychedelics and that like fucked me up really bad. Here's a pro tip: if you have a sensitive brain, don't fuck around with psychedelics. It's not a great idea.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, a lot of the songs, like I got fucking high off my ass and like messed around, and that's why they're all. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. A lot of the themes I was trying to explore were definitely like my brain's all wacky. Let me expand upon that. But like in doing so, I kind of, especially with the first like two or 3 tracks, I feel like looking back, I was like writing lyrics that were just like, I am scaring the fuck out of myself. Please help me, which is a little scary to go back and look at. Especially like halfway through the album, like I was in a psych ward for a while. Like I really fucked myself up. And that unfortunately did kind of like lead to the album taking a lot longer than it needed to be, because I was like out of it I was recovering from that for like a year. And the album is actually going to be a lot darker than it ended up being. Like there were a lot of lyrics that were more directly about those experiences, and I don't know. I listened to it, like the work in progress version, like in January 2023, like when my shit was like finally together and I was like feeling like a person again. And I was like, I don't want to listen to this. Like this isn't a fun album. Like these songs are like important, but like God, I want people, like especially with making people wait so long, because now it's 5 years since my last LP. I was like, I want people to have a good time. I want this to be an album you put on, and by the end of it, you're like, I feel okay. So the first 5 or 6 tracks were like from the original track list, but I went back and I cut off the back half, which is where most of the serious shit was, and I was just like, I gotta have fun, man. I made Kitty Cat Heartthrob like kind of spontaneously, like after A&E last year, because I had a crush on a friend, and I was like, I'm just gonna do this as a one-off single. It's fun. But then I was like, fuck it, no, this fits the vibe. Why don't I just like build the rest of the album around this? So,
okay.
Yeah. So that
I was wondering about that because I knew that had been released prior, and when I got the album and saw that track on there, I was like, okay, so I was wondering kind of what the story was there, so that makes a lot of sense.
For sure. Yeah, actually, so the recording sessions for the album are in 3 parts, pretty much. Let me pull up the track list. So Poppers and Inbox I wrote in 2020, like when I was living in Seattle. And then Cheshire Card, Pulsar, and Edge of Time was 2020. Cheshire Card, Pulsar, Dice were written in 2021. When I was, kind of going a little overboard with the psychedelic shit. And then Spiralized, Brighter Day, and Kitty Cat were all from 2023, when I had gotten my shit back together and just wanted to make something that would cheer people up, or cheer myself up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Inbox was also going to be kind of a weirder, darker one, but I fixed it. I made like the whole back half, actually like fun and kind of romantic and uplifting. And then Spiralize, Spiralize was kind of the last thing I added onto the track list. I needed like a breather between Inbox and Brighter Day. But that ended up also being a really loud track because I'm incapable of making quiet music. But I think Brighter Day is like probably the track I'm like most proud of, and I think is the most important to this album. Finally coming together and actually being finished. I knew in order to justify like the album being a little shorter, I needed to make something like super bombastic and important. And I think that song, I feel like it's kind of a culmination of like, all the influences I had as a kid with the breakbeat and happy hardcore stuff from like DDR, like paired with the kind of more reflective experience. Well, me reflecting on like kind of the little budding romance I had at the time. But also just like the back half of the track, like Can We Just Box the Day Outside and Bring It All the Way Back Home, was about my experience at like Anthrocon last year, like first sex room, a great time with friends. I was like, I'm in love with this feeling right now, and I want to bring it back home. I want to show myself, like, even though I've been through the events of Cheshire Card, Pulsar, Edge of Time, and Dice. I came out on the other side and fucking like, made something of my life afterwards. And I think Brighter Day is kind of me proving to myself, or being able to fucking finish that song. Because logistically, that song was a fucking nightmare. There was so much I opened the project file and my like computer would crash. Like there was so much going on in it. But like, I don't know, that song in and of itself was kind of a triumph to myself, like proving that like I could make something of this kind of ambitious of a musical scope and do it, and it would be something that I'd be, proud to call my own, or proud to show myself when I was like 13. Like I did it. And then Kitty Cat Heartthrob was just the like, haha, remember this song? Yeah, that's the bookmark. That's the cherry on top.
Yeah.
That's me congratulating myself for 5 minutes. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, well, it's well deserved. Give me 1 second. My OBS crashed, so I want to make sure. Yeah, no, I mean, you deserve to give yourself praise for this album, because it seems like it's been a lot. I'm glad. Yeah. I have to say that I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad this album exists, because it's a beautiful album and you're a beautiful person.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually cry to talking to me. Thank you, Hunty. I'm giving you a big hug right now.
Oh, yay. Hugging you right back. I love that this album was like, you had this, kind of really hard experience, and you were making music in the middle of it, and I like that you kind of came back to it, and you decided like, I don't want to listen to this album and feel, the things that I was feeling, and I don't want my listeners to feel, like this whole album is painful or something. But like, I think you describe the pain that you're going through like early on in the album, and then you took it and it became like, I feel like it kind of comes back to kind of a sense of who you, like a lot of the topics and kind of themes you wrote about in your earlier music, with more relationship focus and like love and like the kind of euphoria
Yeah.
and almost the
Like Kendrick Lamar.
uh-huh.
When superpowers get neutralized, I can only predict your angles. Famous actor who once knew was looking for... Nope, okay, continue, sorry.
It's okay. I love that, like, you kind of took this, you kind of started the album with this, like, heavy escapism, and there's even, like, a little bit of mention, like, I noted, like, that, it sounded like that escapism was, partially drug-fueled, and you're, like, kind of, like, conversating with someone who, like, I couldn't really tell if it was yourself or if it was some other person, but by the end of it, it's like you're describing the passion and, like, the passion that you feel for love and loving someone. And, like, I love that like, you took it. It's kind of the same thing. Like, you're kind of at the same place in terms of, like, wanting to escape the shitty world that we live in. But at the end of it, you're like, it kind of seemed like you're in a better place in terms of, like, I'm happy to escape if it means, like, being with this person and the euphoria of just being in love.
Yeah. Thank you so fucking much. You've wrapped it up better than I probably ever could. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah.
I don't know. It all goes back to love, man. And, like, I mean, I think the songs towards the end, I mean, like, they're directed at specific people because I'm gay and I cannot write an album without making it end with guys that I have a crush on. But I don't know. I think looking back, I'm more just talking about, like, the fucking experiences I had in 2023 that really, shaped me, like the kind of triumph of the original Sex Room and, like, Funa Fest and, like, meeting all the amazing people I met at Anthem New England. I don't know. Again, with Better Day, it's about being in love with the feeling, and I mean, I'm just using being gay as a metaphor for, like, a greater thing. Meaning, I'm in love with the shape of you, push and pull like a magnet. Dude, I was at Denver last year, and, like, there was just an entire crowd of people, like, there for Ed Sheeran. Like, there were a bunch of furries, but there was just a bunch of Ed Sheeran fans as well, and it was a really surreal combo. But people go hard for that boy. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'm glad I'm in a better place now too. Thank you for noticing that. If there's anything that I want people to take from this album, is that you should feel bad for me because I was a failure and now I'm a failure, but I'm happy about it. No, yeah. Going forward, I hope, I don't know, I hope people like this album. And if they don't, it's whatever. I'm proud of myself for finishing it, and I'll jam to it until I'm dead. Nope, I don't know. I don't know what I'm... Okay, so, yeah. I'm proud of myself for this album. I hope people enjoy it. If they don't, well, fuck. But, I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing. I mean, I have some demos for the next album, but, like, the problem with listening to good music is that you're like, shit, I could be this good, but I'm not. Like, I listened to Blonde last year, and every time I listen to Blonde, I just feel bad, because I'm like, I can't do this. I wish I could do this. But, like, I don't know, like, fucking Blonde and Damned by Kendrick, that's the more introspective, really insanely produced vibe that I'm hoping to lean towards. I hope I can pull it off, but it might take a while. But
oh yeah, anyway. Yeah. I mean, I like that you, like, it seems like you started from a more, like, finely produced, I guess, place early on in your musical creative career, and then kind of went into more noisy stuff. and like just really chaotic and loud. And then Cheshire Days seems to be kind of like a middle ground almost. So it'll be cool to see.
I will say the mastering engineer.
Go.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future. The mastering engineer for Eagle Creek and Cheshire Days said that these were the loudest albums she'd ever had to master aside from Harsh Noise Wall. So, for what it's worth, we ended up having to go with my master of Cheshire Days because I was the only one that knew how to make it sound like I wanted it to. And she tried her best, for the record, but
yeah. Because I think we've talked about a lot of good stuff in terms of the album more broadly. But I would love to kind of just get some little things from you, just to have, some interesting points in terms of the album. Let's see. Did you collaborate with anyone on this album? I know you just mentioned someone, trying to master it, but otherwise.
So, two people. But they're kind of small contributions. This album is like mostly just me fucking around in FL Studio. I want to be able to collaborate more, but I'm bad at it. So on at the end of Inbox, there's some beautiful vocals that were provided by Will of Scuttle Fuzz fame at Furpok last year. Several beers in, it was
Oh my God.
it was a fun little session. And they maybe they'd feel bad about me saying that. It was a good night for them. We had fun. It's okay.
It sounds great.
It was. It's weird being the only like sober person at a furry con because everyone else is having fun and you're just like, yeah, hell yeah. I can't do that, but hell yeah. And then the other thing was Ember of Goodnight Girl and Daryl D fame helped with like one of the like acid bass sounds on Brighter Day because I could not for the life of me figure out how to make them myself.
Nice.
Yeah. But
It seems like a very personal album, so it's cool that you were such a big, basically the entire production of it,
Yeah.
Oh, speaking,
I want to impress myself.
Yeah. That's you definitely impressed me. So
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Speaking of Ember, I reached out to her to ask if there was any question that I should ask that I wouldn't think of. And
oh God.
Well, it's very simple. She asks, in regards to Cheshire Days, is it meant to be hopeful? Is it meant to be cathartic?
Yes. And yes. I definitely the first half cathartic, second half hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
For the first half of the album, it's very much like I hope I can make my experiences going through shit mean something to somebody or myself. But like I just wanted to put out what I was feeling into the world, and I'm like, this is loud, this is like frustrated, this is angry. I've said what I need to say. I can put that away now. Like but I think the back half of it is hopeful in terms of it's personally very hopeful for me because it proves that I can get myself out of a terrible life situation and come out with music that's joyful again. Like Kitty Cat Heartthrob, I think, was the first song that was happy that I've like ever written. Like there wasn't, I don't know, even like the happier songs on Eagle Creek, it still like comes out of a place of like personal frustration and anger. Well, not anger, but I don't know. Kitty Cat Heartthrob was the first one where it's like just fully joyful, and I'd never written anything like that before, and I kind of it gave me hope that I don't have to keep living as scared and angsty as I used to be. It's hopeful for me. I hope it's hopeful for other people too. I hope that like, I don't know, the story arc of the album resonates with people. I don't know how many people are going to listen to too closely to the lyrics, but like, yeah, you can pull yourself out of awful shit. It's really difficult and it really sucks, but you can do it and you'll be so much happier for it. You just got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Like a baby out of a hole.
Yeah.
And then you give birth to an album.
As a baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my butt baby.
I love that. Congrats on your baby.
Thank you. We had to do a C-section of half the song. Okay, this metaphor's over. Continue.
Did you what new things did you experiment with this album? I guess whether it be production, instrumentation, layering, like what's something that stands out to you?
I think what I had the most fun with was vocal processing on this album. I like fucking okay, so I won't get into this because it's a whole other topic, but the follow-up to Eagle Creek was originally going to be like a more clean sounding indie rock project, which is where Byproducts came from. And it was just going to be like my straight up voice, like without really many effects on it. And I didn't super like that after like recording a couple songs for it. So I just went hard with fucking my voice up. Figuring out how to use the auto tuning stuff in FL Studio was also super fun because I could focus like way more on my like vocal inflections than like keeping a melody. And then just like refine from there. Granted, I promise everyone I've been working on my actual voice. That's why I've been able to do live shows where I sing. But for this project, that was like one of the most fun parts. And also just like I think I continued my like weird approach to sampling where I'll like interpolate really weird random shit. Or like another thing I had fun with was using the like stem extraction tools. Like there's a lot of like samples on this album where like I cut out the vocals from like some random IDM song I listened to when I was 13. Or like with Pulsar, I like ran the whole thing through a stem separator and like kind of repieced pieces of it together in like the back half of the song, like in fucked up in weird ways. That was fun.
That is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always wondered if people like use those tools to like make songs out of other songs.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, so much of what I did on this album is sample based. Like fucking Poppers, I found some like furry porn artist like posted all the Foley sound effects from like one of their furry porn animations, and like all the percussion and a lot of the synths and that stuff just like chopped up really small and like looped and EQ'd like crazily.
I love that so much.
That song was so fun to make. Dude, yeah.
I noted that there's a chip crunch, it sounded like, in there for like a couple bars.
Oh yeah, that was a Dorito.
Okay.
I was eating Doritos. I'm like, yo, this will go hard as a clap.
Oh, that's perfect. I love. Yeah, your sense of sampling is definitely a huge part of your music, and I love just like kind of picking out like weird things. And some, I mean, often I don't even know you know, where stuff would come from, but it's fun to hear that
Good.
things like
It's
Foley artists for furry porn makes its way in there.
yeah. There's so much random shit I sample in it. Like there's some video of some guy like doing like what's not deep throat. That's not the right word. What's the him like the throat singing like the
Oh, yeah.
I was like going crazy on a harmonica. I found like a video of when I was like 16 that I like saved. I have so many samples. Whenever I see some weird shit on YouTube, I just like download it or like record it in Audacity and like save it.
That's perfect.
Like yeah, I have like a treasure trove of random shit to just pull from whenever I'm like running out of ideas for shit.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I could be better about my like keeping a documentation like that, because I feel like I've like I write down like links sometimes, but I feel like it'd be even better just to like have that bank of just like sounds to grab from at any point. I love that.
Yeah. My hard drive is half just random shit like that. I kind of enjoy forgetting the samples that I use sometimes though.
Yeah.
Just because like I don't know. The sounds are so there's so many.
Yeah.
There's a few. There's at least 5.
Oh yeah. There's at least that many to work with in your DAW. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love, and they can be so different in depending on the context too. Like I love that samples can just be used in different ways to kind of accomplish different things, you know.
Absolutely. A lot of stuff in this album is sample manipulation. Like I like making synths and drums that are like weird shit. Or just like fucking up like a sample unrecognizably. Like Kitty Cat Heartthrob, like the whole pulse of that song is sampled from a song I'm not going to say out loud because I'm going to get my album thrown in the trash.
No.
By their legal crew. But I just like fucking stem extracted like the instrumental and like reversed it and like stretched it out and went crazy and made it into something loud and unlistenable, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. I have to ask, is Spiral Eyes a Shrek 2 reference?
No, definitely not.
Well, forget I asked.
Spiral, okay. Yeah, of course. So Spiral, real quick. I did like an instrumental where I did like a Phil Collins guitar stem flip. I don't even listen to Phil Collins. It was just like a random rock band instrumental I found on the internet. And I was like, I need like a quiet piece on this album. So I was gonna like modify that. And then I was like, I think the fucking Counting Crows song would fit well over this. And so I threw it over it, and I was like, this kind of fucks, but I can't just do that. So then I just like rewrote it and ran my vocals through a bunch of like shit, and I was like, this sounds cool, like without the instrumental. And that's how that Posty Pop Babe, that's how that song came to be.
Yes.
So if I get sued, it's worth it.
I mean, I think
it's probably not worth it. I don't have any money.
I think it's you know, you wrote your own words. It's not the same structure of the song at all. It's just a slight melodic homage, you know, to the Casting Crows. But I thought the production was so cool, and just when I like started to like hear the melody, like when I listened every time I listen to that song, it's just kind of like a hee hee. It makes me smile. It's just like hee hee Shrek 2 hee hee.
Were you at fucking Siege's like waterfront show?
Yeah. Dude,
that was so fun.
That was really fun.
So fucking cool.
Yeah, I got video of that performance in the sex room. I'm trying to think of like how I want to kind of edit that together, but that's another story, another
Yeah.
project for another day.
Mhm. Talk to Will Scuttleplace.
Yeah.
We're putting something together.
Yeah. Let's see. I think. I guess we could talk about. I would love to hear kind of like how your experience was working with a record or a record label.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is this your first time doing that?
Yeah, it is, and it's been an interesting journey that is still continuing. As of recording this, the album has not come out yet, so we'll see how that goes.
Right.
No, it's been really unique. So I got signed because there was somebody like that's a super fan of that label that's in their Discord all the time, like knew my music, and they have a channel in there where they can like suggest artists to be signed. And I came up
Nice.
and they chose me, and I was yeah. I remember I saying something like, I know you guys have been talking about me, like, is this like serious? And they're like, yeah, as far as we're concerned, like the offer is on the table. And so I was like, shit, okay, let's do it. I'm not gonna this is a cool opportunity. I'm not gonna lose that. So they sent me a contract. I ran it through a couple of my music industry buddies. Will Toledo gave me some really good literature about like record labels a few years ago, so I referenced that and I was like, okay, this seems like a relatively good deal. So yeah, they as far as I know, they just have the rights to like produce the physicals and recoup the costs, and I still own like the copyright and masters and all that stuff.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So, but it's been interesting, like having to go through other people to like put my shit out, because like I finished the album November 2nd, 2023, which was the anniversary of Twin Fantasy. I cannot fucking escape that album to save my life. And I was like, shit, I want to put this out. Like maybe we could do a January release, and they're like, no. And I was like, what, huh? And there's a bit of a loss of communication for a couple months there, which was really, really frustrating when you've spent so long working on a project just to be told, no, you can't put it out, and then not given like a specific release date or any even time frame. But we ended up working it out, and I said I really wanted this to be out by the summer. Like, I don't want to wait longer than that. Like, I've spent too much time putting this together for it to just go like on indefinitely postponed release. So I was a little stern about it, and they're like, okay, we can do August for you. And I was like, that works. August is a good month.
Yeah.
So there was that, and then like working with the mastering engineer was interesting. I heard her like first run through of Chesire Days, and I was like, oh god, this is not like at all like I was hoping it was going to be. Fuck, this is so far from my like original vision of it. Which yeah, well, I mean, I listened back and like she explained everything, and it made a ton of sense why it sounded the way it did, and like I get it, like it's fine, but it just like was not what I was looking for, so we just ended up going with my mix. But it's weird having somebody else's hands on my stuff. Like I've always operated in like what I do and I say is the end all be all of how it's gonna come out in the end, and having somebody else like be the final say in that stuff is so new and so unique. So I'll see where things go in the future. I mean, so far everything seems to be going fine. So maybe if I might be up to doing stuff with them in the future, or maybe another label, because they only have me on the contract for the reissue of Eagle Creek and Chesire Days. But we'll see how it goes. But it's cool being able to like have nice physicals be made of your stuff. I did like a vinyl run of Eagle Creek back in 2019 where we did like lathe cut stuff, which did not sound very good, and it was extremely expensive. But I just wanted to like do it to do it. But it's cool having that outsourced now, so I don't have to worry about it. And also, we can do cool color variants. I thought we were going to be able to do 3 variants of each album, but they changed it to just 1 because they didn't have enough money. So that's okay. They're both going to look beautiful. I'm excited for people to see the designs. And fucking hell, the art is beautiful. Varg Mammal Friend did the art for Cheshire Days, like the center labels and the front and back cover, and it is beautiful. I posted the album artwork already, but like the rest of it is just fucking gorgeous. They did such an amazing job. It's all like charcoal drawings, and they like colored it in Photoshop. So I have like the original of the album cover like framed in my room, but it's so cool. It's so cool.
Oh wow,
they're so fucking cracked.
So it's like it was like there wasn't color to
no, it's just black and white.
Oh wow, that's incredible.
Let me hold on, turn my camera on.
It's such a colorful album.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to make sure the cover was like reflective of the music.
There was a minute here where Ashley stepped away from the microphone and it's hard to hear. So I'll just put up some pictures and explain. Ashley showed me the original cover art done by Mammal Friend in charcoal. That's what you can see here. And we returned to us being excited about the current state of furry music.
Like there's so much cool shit going on.
Yeah, it's really important to me. I have always been like kind of into documenting musical things because music has always been a part of my life in many different ways, but yeah. DIY music has always been a huge, part of it. So, just seeing like this, strongly, like very passionate DIY scene emerging from furry is just like the culmination of 2 of the biggest parts of my life. So I'm just like overjoyed and happy to be a part of it.
I'm so glad that furry music is popping off because there's so much beauty out there and there's so much art in these people. I think especially with furry, this isn't the case for everybody, but like a lot of us have just come from like, I don't know, really isolated situations, and like, I don't know, having communities in music and in fandom has just brought so many people together that otherwise would never have had any sort of community aside from just like, I don't know, them posting their own stuff on Bandcamp to nobody caring about it. And I don't know, just that with queerness and just, I don't know, it's unlike anything else, and I'm so thankful to be a part of it. And I don't know, I've never really felt at home in any community before, and this has been the first time I've been like, these are my people, where I'm doing what I was supposed to be doing in the first place. Like, this is it.
Yep. I feel incredibly similarly. It was, I think the furry fandom at large can be a bit daunting at this point, seeing as though it's just growing and growing, and it's been disjointed up to this point, on the internet, and you have little circles and cliques, but it's nice to see like a more, at least somewhat collective kind of group of people kind of joining together to create a more connected scene. It feels very...
I want to continue seeing more unity amongst all of us, because there are still definitely like cliques even amongst like furry music. There's a lot of infighting, and there's a lot of ego when you get a bunch of artists together. There's always going to be that, especially with musicians. But I don't know, every time I've come into contact with like any furry musician we've met in person, it's just been amazing. And I think the more people like experience that, or even, it doesn't even have to be in person if that's like infeasible, like the more people realize that like this is a community based in like love for art and love for each other, like I think those barriers are going to keep falling down, and hopefully eventually we'll get to a point where like everyone's, well, not everyone, but like we're all supporting each other, and that's my hope for the future. I just hope we can keep coming together as one and doing what we're doing.
I really appreciate that sentiment. I think it is. I will second that.
We're getting there.
Yeah, I think so too. Kind of getting to the end of this little interview. I'd love to just kind of talk about, I guess one, like, what the rollout is for the album. Obviously it's coming out, is it August 10th, right?
10th, yeah.
August 10th, 2024. Hopefully this interview will be out before then.
Yeah, if it's not,
or kind of like,
you're in big trouble. I'm writing a call out post and I'm sending a pipe bomb to your house like that one guy did for Bjork. It's gonna be a shit show.
Oh my god, no. Well, in that case, this interview will be out before Chesire Days. Hopefully like kind of the week that it's coming out, I think is the plan.
And if it doesn't, it's totally fine. I'm just happy to do this at all.
Yeah. But I'd love to know like kind of what the rollout is in terms of like what we might expect. Like, are you thinking about any kind of music videos? Are you doing some shows to promote the album? Like, what's your plan?
I'm not sure. A music video would be fun. I just don't really have the know-how right now. I'd really like to, though. That would be really cool. And Needle just said they would be down to help, like, fun stuff. I just need to get, like, a crew together. Maybe I could do that at Furpop this year. I kind of want to do something with, like, lo-fi VHS stuff. My friend, Ember Fox of Synanthrope fame, is super into that. And, I think I was going to do some, like, cool, like, horny music video stuff with her, but then I didn't finish that song. So maybe we can siphon that idea into something else. Is it lame to make a music video for like a song that already came out like a year or two ago? Like, is that like would everyone be like, "Ooh, you're a loser"?
What, for like Kitty Cat Heartthrob or
yeah, or
what? Yeah, if it's a song from the album, I think it would make sense.
Okay, cool.
Or yeah, it's still like promoting the album and everything. So I think it's totally in line with, you know, the promotion, the marketing cycle, whatever you want to call it.
I'm still new to all this stuff now that I have eyes on me. In terms of shows, hopefully I'm going to be doing something the day before at like some cuck zine festival in Boston. I don't know too much about it, but the phrase cuck zine is really funny, so I'm down. I
love that.
I was originally thinking about touring with a couple people who I don't want to say the names just in case. I don't want to piss anybody off. But it ended up we all just had a bunch of life stuff come up, and it's totally fine. But like, I'd love to be able to continue doing shows and maybe touring. I'm just not sure how like big of an audience I would have outside of like fandom stuff. But that is something I really, really want to do at some point. If I get the opportunity to, I'd love to jump on that. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I'm always a fan of like doing a few shows to promote the album in your kind of regional area, and then using that to kind of hopefully like pitch to a more established touring artist or band to say like, hey, I think I would be a good fit for your next tour. Like, let me hop on and open for you guys.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like a good way of like building momentum
for sure.
For that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of musical artists out there. I'm sure someone would be down to pick you up and like take you out for a little run, even if it's just like part of a bigger tour or something.
Yeah.
Or even if it's just a show or two.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
But
I hope something big. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What?
First off, thank you. Me too. But yeah, I'm gonna continue doing my stupid sex room shows and whatever that ends up blossoming into. So, be there or be square if you want to see me somehow perform these songs live.
Yeah. Obviously you're on Twitter.
Unfortunately.
Where is that the best place for people to like kind of stay up to date with what you're doing?
Yeah. You could also like find out where I live and follow me like in a big trench coat with like a gun. But other than that, probably Twitter is the best way. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay, cool. And the best place to listen, obviously you're on Bandcamp, right? And you can buy the album there.
Bandcamp, but also you can stream it on Spotify and give me 1 cent. Or you can buy the physicals from Needle Juice. Hold on, I gotta get the website right. Needlejuicerecords.com. I will have physicals available. There'll be vinyl, CDs, tapes, and maybe more. Who knows?
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to include any links in the description for you and for the album and for Needle Juice in terms of your physical merch.
Yeah. Or my spiritual, emotional merch.
Yes. all forms of merch.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess to cap off this little interview, do you have any advice that you would tell yourself when you were just getting started, or for someone who's in that situation?
Just do it. Like, there's the only thing holding you back is like your own confidence and your own belief in yourself. Like, just do it. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be shaky. You're gonna have some terrible shows. You're gonna embarrass yourself, and then eventually, you're gonna do great and do great things and inspire people and I don't know, be happy to be alive and make friends and find people you love and do weird shit and like have strange things happen to you and like meet really weird people and like get in scenarios that you don't want to be in but are like memorable later on. There's gonna be some weird shit with the living tombstone. We missed it, but we'll get back to it someday. That like you're gonna be in a lot of situations. You're gonna be in a lot of bad situations. But you gotta keep going because there's lights at the end of the tunnel, and there are people at the end of the tunnel waiting to give you comfort and love and a spot in life. And there's a community out there, and you just gotta find it by doing it. Don't ask for permission from yourself. Don't ask for permission from convention staff. Don't ask for ask for permission in certain situations. But creatively, just do it, and the beauty will follow.
Yeah, it all starts from doing it.
Yeah, that's what Kendrick Lamar did, and then he kept doing it, and now he's #1 on the Billboard charts with a song calling Drake a pedophile. And I think we could all learn from this.
We can all aspire to be on that level.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Ashley! Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you,
and I hope the release goes super, super well.
Me too. I want to have a good baby.
Yeah, good baby.
Yeah.
Everybody wish Ashley good baby.
Thank you so much, Hunty.